If someone who's on medications, would it interfere with this process at all? Would it interfere with the autonomic nervous system?
Certain types of medications can suppress, right? So there's certain medications, maybe they're on benzodiazepines, you know, Xanax, Valium, those types of Klonopin. Those can interfere, and so, because a lot of them are used for suppression or anti-anxiety, and we're trying to bring the sensations up, and we don't want to. Now, initially they need to be on that, and there's a whole series of addictions. We've helped numerous patients get off. There's all kinds of websites. In fact, one of our patients was very prominent in that because of the addictions from benzodiazepines, and there's a lot of lectures on it. But you know, it has to be done gradually and slowly. It should be with their advice of their also their physician, right? But sure, benzodiazepines, that's a no-no. You want to try to get off of that, right? Pain medications, it's anything that suppresses the nervous system, but if they really, really feel they need it, we try to just recommend that they try to not take it beforehand. They put it next door and next to them, or they can take it after. But as they start to feel better, we want them to have it there as a security blanket, you know. But and it makes them often feel better that they know they have it, but eventually they see they take it away. Antidepressants, another thing, especially if we start to look at a lot of the data, that in fact it's not really doing what we thought it was doing, and there's different types. There's ones that affect dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin, mixtures, but again, we don't take anything away or recommend anything away until we've got a sound other strategy. We've checked with their, you know, whoever gave them the medication in the first place, that they're all in agreement with it, and that they start to weed themselves off. But yes, many of these medications, of course. Now, many other people are addicted to pain meds, and so there's a whole nother process that goes on there. There's many people that take other types of drugs and medications, of course, alcohol, other psychotropic type things. So yeah, those definitely are important to address, and the whole need for why they need that in the first place. But the key is you have to give them something real. You have to give them that shows them that results, and then they can take the medication away. But you don't want to just stop. You don't want to tell people just to stop, right? And by licensure, you're not allowed to do that anyway. You have to always go and ask with their physician, and they have to go back and forth and talk to them, and then both be in agreement. Now, if they have a physician that says, you know, you got to take this medication the rest of your life, go find another physician. Because there's plenty of physicians that are willing to work with you and take that off. And there's a lot of people that are very lazy and don't take responsibility. And the major form of addiction in this country right now is through medicine, through pharmaceutical. It's not illicit drugs. We have a really big problem. And it's because people are hurting. You know, whether it's physical pain, emotional pain, it's the same ballpark. People are hurting. No one's ever taught them how to deal with that hurt, right? So you have to give them real tools. You can't just say, okay, go home and do biofeedback, do meditate, do yoga, just do exercise, lose weight. You know, it's not that those things don't have their benefits, but we know that people are controlled by a very different set of functions. And to quote Bruce Lipton, and maybe exaggerated, about microprocessors, you know, everyone knows about computers. Well, there's a strong processor and there's a weak processor. So the weak processor is the conscious mind, the strong processor is the unconscious. In comparison, he makes statements like, well, the unconscious is probably 1,000,000 times more stronger. I don't know, but it certainly is. We're mostly controlled by our unconscious thoughts, feelings, desires, programs in the brain. And if you don't really have tools to rewire that, there's no way out of the nightmare. It'll just continue and continue.
Can you explain why there is a tendency to drop out of this process for certain people, and other certain people to continue with care?
Well, that's across the board and everything. So it's like there are people that are generally more motivated, and there are people that are not. But the people we know that are generally not more motivated is because there's certain critical experiences, there's a certain way that they're wired in their brain, and they don't have this level of perseverance. It's like we know today that unfortunately the United States has the #1 dropout rate in the entire industrial nations, of all industrialized nations, in college. Not high school, in college. So I mean, they get to college and they drop out. Because again, that takes us back to Everson and others, and they're starting to realize they don't have those. They don't have the soft skills. They don't have they don't have the prefrontal skills. They don't have the skills that can keep them to become successful in life, right? So regardless, we see that they don't have those successful skills, right? And those successful skills, now we're realizing that, yes, some of it can be taught. Others have to be, you definitely have to rewire the stress response in people, and you have to change their internalized experience. So they start to get joy now out of simpler things. You have to get joy out of simple things to be successful in life. You have to see the beauty in a simple leaf in an autumn day, right? And you see the veins, and you see the color, and you see the reflection of the sun on the water, and it makes you think about your childhood, and you feel this bliss. If you're in that survival, if you're in that stress, if you're in that pain, you don't get that. You don't see the joy in a child's eyes. And the whole science of attachment parenting is that there's not that connection with the child, and the child doesn't have the connection in every way, not just psychologically, health, quality of life, everything across the board. And we're talking about a lot of kids in a lot of bad situations. It's just that they're not lazy, they're not bad, they're not criminal. They may become that, but what's really going on is that early exposure has altered, right? And so we are really committed to with others to finding ways to change that. And I just every single day I come to work, I have these incredible deep states of just gratitude and joy for what I'm doing, because I see people change. I see things change I never thought were possible in my mind, you know? Yeah, and it was scary in the beginning as we tapped into areas that no one had known about or experienced before, so there was no model to follow. But as we went along, I saw other people talking that language, you know? They started to talk that's why even in trauma, we started to say, hey, Pat Ogden in sensory motor psychology, she knows what she's talking about. Peter Levine seems like he knows what he's talking about. I mean, there were discussions, and many others began to join into conversation that came from different areas, right? I realized that, hey, you know what? If we're ever going to make a difference in this world, we got to work together. We got to unify, and we've got to change our definition of what it means to be human, because it is every way, in physiologically, psychologically, it is really, the files need to be updated. It is really wrong, and the proof is in the pudding, because it's just our healthcare system isn't working, our defense systems aren't working, our psychological systems, our our economy system, it's just not working. So how much of not working is it going to take for us to turn it around? And there's so much distraction. You go on the internet and they tell you this is the best for this is the best for that, I cure this, I do that, take noni juice, put this up, take whatever this, take that, and it's take that pill, take this pill, take that. It's really hard, Even though we live in the information age and you can really get information that can transform you, there's so much misinformation, and people don't know how to choose. And so the only way to not be fooled is to have your nervous system rewired. So now that you're gaining information through bodily states, through Damasio would call somatic markers, and so they're so much faster. That gut feeling, that feeling in the chest, the feeling in the neck, the bodily state sensory thing is way more faster than the cognitive.